What is Social Security? It is taking roughly 15% of somebody's income, both sides, employer provided side, which the employee has to earn for them to be able to provide that side, but the employee side. So taking 15% of somebody's income throughout their life in exchange for a guarantee of fixed income throughout their elderly years. So that's what Social Security is. Can we do it better? Should somebody have options of doing that same thing but in slightly different ways, and sometimes radically different ways? So is that the only way to ensure someone is not a burden on society in their elderly years? That's the goal, is to make sure we're not falling on charities or the government and social services to handle somebody in their elderly years when they can't earn a living anymore and they become disabled and they need to be taken care of. So is that the only way to ensure that? I say that's not the only way to ensure that. There's plenty of ways to do that, but government having a monopoly system has put everybody into that same basket. Now you can do your own retirement plan outside of that, but you still have to do that 15% in there. So I'm saying take that 15%, allow people to do what they want with that 15%. They still have to do retirement, don't get me wrong, but they have to ensure that the burden is taken care of. There are dozens of ideas to accomplish that goal of not becoming a burden in the elderly years. It is not just different percentages or percentage of investments. So those are things that we can look at. Some people might say, let's do 12%. Some people might do 18%. I don't know. That's one thing. Different investments. Right now, we don't invest the money. We do a pay-as-we-go system, which is really, really bad. So let's do at least investments. Some people will complain about, hey, we can't put into the stock market. You might lose it all, and you become a burden on society. Well, if you put into the broad stock market, people would have a ton more money than they do in Social Security, and they'll be in their accounts, and that would be capital that people could use to start businesses and get loans, and capitalism takes capital. And right now, we don't have that, at least at 15% of somebody's income, we don't have that as capital because we're doing a pay-as-you-go system. If people had that in their retirement funds, you would have a ton more capital in capitalism, in our economy. So it's hugely important. You can have families, such as children, sign contracts to agree to take care of that responsibility. So if the elderly parents can't take care of themselves anymore, that the children will step in, and that would be a legally binding contract. Maybe some people want to do that, other people won't want to do that. But should that be an option? And I say it should be an option if somebody wants to do that. Could you have insurance plans to address that concern? So you do it on your own, but you have to put money into an insurance program for some people who fall outside of that, fall short of that system. Fall short of their money running out before they live longer than their money. Many models could be tried. So there's other models to do. So many ideas if we were allowed to individually control our 15% of income for retirement planning. So there'd be a lot of ideas we could try. This plan does not allow for no planning. So I'm not suggesting that we allow for no planning, because if somebody says I'm not saving anything, I'm hitting 75 years old, I still have another 10, 20, 30 years of living, and somebody has to take care of me because I can't earn any more money. And we as a society do not want somebody, especially the elderly, laying out there on the curb and not and begging for food. That's just not a society we want to live in. Everyone has to have a plan to not become a burden on society in their elderly years. So I'm suggesting a roughly 12 different. Let's get to it. Gather with 5% of your fellow citizen. So I think there would be roughly 12 different systems with that. at least 5%. So some people will gather with 15 to 20%. So gather with 5% of your fellow citizens and be in a system with them. So as long as you have 5% of the citizens, you get to be in a system that's governed just from the representatives those 5% vote on. So the people who join that system, they vote for the leadership. The leadership sets out the standards for that for those people, for their members. That government only governs their members. That system could be responsible for the few who become a burden. So they figure out what to do. There. That's it for this video. A lot more to see at Haley2024.org. Until the next video.